5.5 vertical miles of rock, ice, and snow. In the winter, temperatures can fall to -60. In the summer, up to 10 feet of snow can fall on its slopes in a single day. It lies on the border of Nepal and Tibet. Everest.
Exploring the dark side of Mount Everest is like unraveling a story that intertwines human ambition with the passage of time. It's fascinating how climbers over the years have stumbled upon relics from earlier expeditions, each discovery adding depth to the mountain's already rich tapestry. Imagine finding old oxygen tanks and climbing gear from the early 20th century, when mountaineering was in its nascent stages. These bulky, less efficient tanks and other equipment are now frozen in time, showing us how far we've come in terms of technology. It's like looking through a window into the past. Then there are those rare, almost magical moments when climbers find old cameras or film rolls. Just think about it. These could hold images of historic climbs or candid moments of those brave souls who ventured up Everest when it was still a giant mystery. These photographs are like missing pieces of history, offering us a glimpse into the challenges and triumphs of those early adventurers. But perhaps the most touching finds are the personal diaries and unsent letters of climbers. Reading their handwritten thoughts and emotions is incredibly moving. These diaries and letters offer an intimate look at what it was like to face the perils of Everest, the daily routines, the unpredictable weather, and the sheer mental and physical demands of the climb. They also reveal the emotional journey, the bonds formed with fellow climbers, and the poignant sacrifices made in the pursuit of such a formidable dream. And then there's the astonishing discovery of marine and plant fossils at such high altitudes. It's almost surreal to think that where climbers now tread was once under an ancient ocean, as indicated by the trilobites and ammonites found there. These fossils are not just intriguing, they're crucial in piecing together the puzzle of the Earth's tectonic history. The plant fossils, too, are little windows into the climate and ecology of a world millions of years past. The tales of climbers who vanished on Mount Everest are as captivating as they are tragic, weaving a tapestry of mystery and courage. It's incredible when you think about it. These climbers, driven by ambition and a sense of adventure, set out to conquer the highest peak on Earth only to become part of the mountain's enigmatic history. Take George Mallory and Andrew Irvine, for example. They embarked on their journey in 1924, aiming to do what no one had before, reach Everest's summit. But they vanished, just a few hundred meters from the top. The mystery deepened when Mallory's body was found in 1999, but Irvine and the camera they carried remained missing. This story, especially the unanswered question of whether they summited before their disappearance, has intrigued climbers and historians alike for decades. Then there's Maurice Wilson, whose story is like something out of a novel. In 1934, this British soldier set out to climb Everest solo, planning to crash land a plane near the base and then ascend on foot, despite having little climbing experience. His body was found a year later, but the exact circumstances of his death are still unknown. His journey, which was as much a spiritual quest as a climbing expedition, added an extra layer of mystery to Everest's lore. It's not just these historical disappearances that are intriguing. The mountain continues to claim lives even today. Despite modern technology and better weather forecasts, climbers like David Sharp and Rob Hall, whose stories were later told in films and books, have also met tragic fates on Everest. Often they vanish or perish in places that are visible but out of reach, adding to the long list of those who have succumbed to the mountain. What makes Everest so treacherous? It's a combination of factors: the unpredictable weather, avalanches, and the extreme altitude. Above 8,000 meters, you enter the infamous death zone, where the human body starts deteriorating rapidly and survival becomes a desperate race against time. This zone has seen many climbers lose their lives, often leaving no trace behind. But there's also a spiritual aspect to these mysteries. In Sherpa and Tibetan cultures, Everest is considered sacred, believed to be protected by deities. Some attribute these disappearances to supernatural forces, respecting the mountain as a living entity with its own will. So the mystery of the missing climbers on Everest remains, a blend of human ambition, the unpredictable forces of nature, and the sheer scale of the challenge posed by the world's highest peak. On Mount Everest, there's a place called the Rainbow Valley, and it's as haunting as it is beautiful. Right near the summit, it's where the bright colors of down jackets and gear from fallen climbers stand out starkly against the snow. It's a bit eerie, really, because each piece of gear represents someone who didn't make it back. This valley is like a somber memorial, a vivid and colorful reminder of the human cost of trying to conquer this massive mountain. And because of the extreme cold and high altitude, these remnants are almost frozen in time, adding to the valley's poignant atmosphere. But there's more to Everest's mysteries than just this valley. Climbers often talk about hearing strange sounds or seeing mysterious lights on their way up or down. Imagine being up there and hearing whispers or moans carried by the wind, or seeing lights that seem to come from nowhere. Some think it's just the effects of being at such a high altitude, like hypoxia, which can mess with your mind and make you see or hear things. Others think it might be natural, like the sound of ice shifting or the wind howling, and the lights could be just reflections or something in the atmosphere. Then there's the local take on it. The Sherpa and Tibetan cultures see Everest as a sacred place, and these unexplained sounds and lights, they could be something spiritual or supernatural. It adds a whole different layer to what's already a pretty mysterious and awe-inspiring place. So when you think about Everest, it's not just about the physical challenge. It's like stepping into another realm, where the line between what's real and what's not can get a little blurry. The Rainbow Valley, with its stark reminder of those who've been lost, and the eerie sounds and lights that might be just natural phenomena, or maybe something more, they all add to Everest's mysterious and almost mystical aura. When you think about Mount Everest, it's not just the staggering heights and the breathtaking views that come to mind, but also something more chilling: the frozen remains of climbers who never made it back. It's a stark, somber side of Everest's story. These bodies, preserved by the extreme cold, are almost like they're suspended in time. It's eerie. You can sometimes see their facial expressions, and their bright climbing gear stands out against the snow, adding a surreal touch to the tragic scene. These remains have become a kind of grim landmark on Everest. For instance, there's the infamous green boots, a nickname given to one of the fallen climbers, now a marker for those who follow. It's a harsh reminder for climbers today of the risks and the fine line between making it and not. Some of these bodies have been there for decades, almost like a frozen history of mountaineering, showing how gear and equipment have changed over the years. But there's a deeper side to this. The presence of these bodies raises tough questions about respect and ethics. It's a delicate topic, intertwined with grief and loss for many climbers and the families of those who didn't return. Encountering these remains can be a profound, often unsettling experience for climbers, bringing them face to face with the very real dangers of Everest. Recovering these bodies is another complex issue. The extreme conditions and the challenging terrain make it a risky task, sometimes impossible. So often, the decision is made to leave them where they are, out of respect or practicality. These frozen remains on Everest are more than just a reminder of the mountain's dangers. They're like a narrative of human ambition, bravery, and a profound respect for nature's formidable challenges. They tell stories of those who dared to chase their dreams, sometimes paying the ultimate price, and stand as a poignant testament to the power and majesty of one of the world's most awe-inspiring places. At the heart of the world, where the mightiest mountain ranges of the Himalayas converge, lies a peak draped in mystery and shrouded in reverence. It's not the highest, nor is it the most challenging to scale, but it remains unclimbed. Mount Kailash, a mountain that defies not just climbers, but also seemingly the very laws of physics themselves. How can a mountain possess such power to make us question everything we know about nature and our own reality? Let's plunge into the mysteries of this sacred mountain, from its geographical significance to the mysterious legends that surround it, and explore the attempts made by explorers to uncover its secrets. Unraveling our journey, we first look at Mount Kailash through the lens of geography. Sitting in the heart of the Trans-Himalayan region, this majestic peak is part of the Kailash Range, which spans parts of Tibet and India's northernmost region. With a formidable elevation of approximately 21,778 feet, Mount Kailash is not the tallest peak in the range or the Himalayas, but its significance dwarfs many taller mountains. What catches the eye and baffles the mind is the unique shape of this peak. Imagine a mountain as symmetrical as the pyramids of Egypt, standing alone in a barren landscape, its white snow cap glistening against the stark blue sky. That's Mount Kailash for you. Each of its four faces resembles a near-perfect pyramid standing in austere isolation. Adding to the mystery is the fact that these faces align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. One could argue that it's merely a natural phenomenon, a work of millions of years of geological forces. But how did these forces conspire to create such a precise structure, untouched by significant erosion or tectonic disruptions common in this seismic region? It's a question that science is still trying to answer. Adding another layer to this is the geological composition of the mountain. Primarily made of black and white granite and extremely hard rock, the mountain has managed to resist the forces of nature, standing tall and unyielding. This gives it a distinct black and white appearance, adding to its visual appeal and its mystical allure. Lastly, the region around Mount Kailash is almost as intriguing as the mountain itself. It's home to two of the highest freshwater bodies in the world, Lake Mansarovar and Rakshastal. Legend has it that these lakes are linked to the divine, Mansarovar with the mind of Brahma, the creator god in Hinduism, and Rakshastal with the demon king Ravana. Today these lakes, with their stark contrast, Mansarovar's round, calm and bright blue waters versus Rakshastal's crescent-shaped, saline and darker waters, serve as the perfect prologue and epilogue to the journey towards Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash doesn't just bask in its sacred aura, it also swims in a sea of mysteries, legends and myths that further enhance its allure. Some of these stories have deep religious roots, while others sound like they've been taken straight out of a science fiction novel. One of the most pervasive legends revolves around the mountain's age. Many followers of the ancient Bon religion believe that Kailash is the physical embodiment of a mythical Mount Meru, a divine mountain considered the center of all the physical, metaphysical and spiritual universes in Hindu, Jain and Buddhist cosmologies. The age of Mount Meru? It's believed to be cosmically ancient, far older than the formation of the Himalayas, which, from a geological perspective, is an eye-popping anomaly. The second mystery concerns the mountain's perfect pyramidal shape, with four sheer faces aligning almost perfectly with the cardinal directions. Even more striking, each face is a different color, corresponding with different cardinal points, a geological occurrence that's hard to chalk up to mere coincidence. This perfection has led some to propose that Kailash isn't a mountain at all, but a massive, ancient, man-made pyramid, possibly the world's largest. The hypothesis is bolstered by claims of unusually rapid aging among those who live near the mountain, a claim that straddles the fine line between fact and folklore. Another enduring mystery is the rapid weather changes around the mountain. Clear weather can turn into a snowstorm in a matter of minutes, a phenomenon some attribute to divine intervention or extraterrestrial activity. Speaking of extraterrestrials, there are theories proposing that Mount Kailash could be a base for aliens due to its remote, inhospitable location and religious restrictions that prevent any extensive exploration. There's also the mystery of the two lakes, Mansarovar and Rakshastal, located at the foot of Mount Kailash. Legend has it that they represent light and darkness, good and evil. Mansarovar, the sun-shaped lake, is believed to be filled with pure, blessed waters, while Rakshastal, the moon-shaped one, contains poisonous waters. Interestingly, the two lakes are linked by a natural channel, suggesting a balance between good and evil. Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of Mount Kailash is that, to date, it remains an unclimbed peak. In an age where mountaineers have triumphed over the world's highest and most dangerous summits, it's mind-boggling to think that a peak like Kailash, standing at almost half the height of Everest, remains untouched. There's no shortage of intrepid adventurers in the world, so why has no one managed to reach the top of this sacred mountain? It's a question that often lingers in the minds of mountaineers and enthusiasts. Interestingly, the answer lies not in the physical barriers, but in the spiritual realm. Mount Kailash is considered the spiritual axis of the universe by no less than four faiths: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon. For these religions, the mountain is deemed so holy that to set foot on its slopes is a sin, let alone to strive for its summit. Scaling it is believed to be a profanity, an act of direct disrespect towards the divine. There have been attempts, though, but each one more mysterious than the last. In 1926, British mountaineer Hugh Rutledge studied the mountain from the north and concluded that it was impossible to climb. In 1985, an audacious Reinhold Messner, one of the world's greatest mountaineers who had climbed the 14 8,000ers of the world, was given permission by the Chinese government to climb the mountain. However, he rejected the opportunity out of respect for the mountain's traditional significance. More recently, a controversial Russian team claimed to have climbed it in 2006, but their claims were met with disbelief and refuted by locals and the mountaineering community alike, stating lack of evidence. In this manner, Mount Kailash, the sacred abode of gods and a cosmic pillar, has managed to resist human intrusions, keeping its mystic aura intact. It stands there unscalable not because of its physicality but its spirituality, a sublime testament to its divine status. The fact that Kailash remains an unclimbed peak only deepens the mystery. Does the mountain hold any divine secrets, or perhaps a curse for those who dare to desecrate its sacredness? The conjecture only fuels the intrigue around the unscaled peak of Mount Kailash, a tantalizing challenge and a divine barrier all at once. Mount Kailash may be forbidden for climbers, but the irresistible allure of its mysteries has sparked numerous attempts to understand it better. Let's delve into some expeditions that tried to explore this mountain. The first documented attempt to explore Mount Kailash dates back to the late 19th century. In 1874, an English explorer, Captain Henry Havisham Godwin Austen, ventured to survey the region, but he respected local sentiments and refrained from climbing the sacred mountain. A century later, in 1985, renowned mountaineer Reinhold Messner was reportedly given permission by the Chinese government to climb Kailash. But Messner, respectful of the mountain's religious significance, declined the offer. In an interview he stated, "If we conquer this mountain, then we conquer something in people's souls." He understood that scaling Mount Kailash would disrupt its spiritual symbolism. Then in 2001, a Spanish team led by Jesus Martinez Novas sparked controversy when they announced plans to climb Mount Kailash, purportedly to prove whether it was man-made or natural. The plan triggered worldwide outrage with petitions and protests from global communities. Faced with such fierce resistance, the Chinese government swiftly withdrew its permission, and the team never made the ascent. While Mount Kailash has not been summited, its surrounding areas have been subjected to rigorous scientific study. In 2002, Russian scientists led an expedition concluding that Mount Kailash could be a massive man-made pyramid, the center of an entire complex of smaller pyramids, 100 in total. However, this theory, known as the Kailash pyramid theory, is not widely accepted in the scientific community and remains a point of debate. Isn't it fascinating, the Kailash paradox? On one hand, the mountain stands as a beacon of spiritual enlightenment, drawing millions of pilgrims to undertake arduous journeys just to walk around its base. On the other hand, the peak remains unsummited, its secrets held close, far from the reach of human understanding. Why is the peak off limits? It's an intriguing blend of spiritual reverence, cultural tradition, and governmental regulation. While mountaineers across the globe dream of scaling the Himalayan peaks, Kailash stands as a forbidden summit. In many religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, the mountain is deemed too sacred to be climbed. It is believed that to step foot on its slopes would be a sacrilege, an affront to the gods. In respect to these beliefs, the Chinese government, which controls the region, has banned all attempts to summit Mount Kailash. The ritual, known as Kora, involves pilgrims walking 52 kilometers around the base of Mount Kailash. It's believed that completing one circuit absolves the sins of a lifetime, while 108 circuits secure nirvana, or liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Despite the rigorous altitude and harsh climate, many embark on this sacred journey each year, further deepening the reverence for Kailash without ever setting foot on its peak. The paradox extends to the mountain's contrasting depictions. Mount Kailash is often described as both a divine realm, home to gods, and a gateway to hell or the underworld, with some legends telling of hidden caves leading to secret underground worlds. This dichotomy of representing both heavenly and hellish elements is perhaps symbolic of the human journey between salvation and damnation.